Hello, welcome to Spotlight series with MediaCom. In each of these videos, we'll be shining a light on one of our clients' recent amazing work throughout the coronavirus pandemic. We'll be talking about the genesis of the campaign and delving a little deeper into how their brand and our industry has had to adapt since the crisis began. I'm Sonya, Managing Partner at MediaCom, and with me today is Miriam Jordan-Keane, CMO at NCS, and Adam Boita, Marketing Director at NCS. Hello, both of you. How are you doing?
Hi, Sonya. Nice to see you.
Lovely to see you. Lovely to see you. Thank you both so much for joining. So, throughout this whole period, what are the biggest challenges your business has faced during the pandemic?
I guess this is about as cataclysmic an event as could happen for our business, because usually in an average year, a normal year, we would have up to 100,000 16 and 17-year-olds going out on a program around the country, coming together with people from different backgrounds, meeting people from different parts of the community with very different life experiences to their own, getting together, doing action outward bound in our the epic phase, and really coming together, singing together around campfires at night, living under tents, etc. And so to deliver a physical program and to stay connected with those young people during lockdown has been a huge challenge for us. And basically we've had to flip our entire business model for this summer, and working with yourselves and our Karmarama team, developing and creating new and fresh content so that young people stay connected with each other and that we can stay connected with them. And I think it's been exciting, exhilarating, hard work for all our teams. We're really lucky that we have such a wonderful partnership with MediaCom and your team there, and with Karma. But between our three teams, we've created more than 110 pieces of fresh content in 10 weeks. And drum roll here, we have stayed connected with over 1.2 million teenagers in the last 10 weeks since lockdown.
That is absolutely fantastic, actually. That leads me very nicely, Miriam, on to my second question, which is, how have you stayed authentic to young people throughout the COVID crisis? Obviously, it had a big impact on them. So how do you feel you've done that?
Well, I think, and I know Adam will speak some more about this, but I think obviously we created the Staying Connected Hub in our website in order to the three strands of our whole digital strategy, which is to entertain, engage and inform young people. So we wanted to do that, and creating all this new content was part of it. But one of the biggest drivers, and what's really critical to us, has been the work that we've done with your team around the Youth Rising podcasts, where we've actually given, in order to amplify the voice of young people, we've put the content creation in their own hands. So we've had young people creating content by themselves, for themselves, and being very conscious that we are representing a generation, but we're not of that generation. The more that we can allow them be part of the co-creation, or indeed the creation, the more sticky what we've been putting out there has become.
Great, and obviously there's some great success as well, which is brilliant to see. How has this been translated into your communication strategy throughout, sort of all of the touch points?
I was going to say, in terms of just also adding in terms of the authenticity to young people, when COVID hit and lockdown happened, we had to obviously stop the podcast for a couple of weeks, and it was actually just from a safeguarding point of view, making sure we were looking after our young people, first and foremost. But in true young people style, and also the kind of our campaign is called No We Can, and it's all about turning those no you can't into no we can. It was actually the voice of young people and the team that were working on the podcast that wanted to find a way to remotely produce it, keep the same quality, work with the team in order to make it still happen. And then within 2 weeks, the podcast was back up and running with, obviously, as Miriam says, fresh new content based on everything that was happening at that moment, based on coronavirus and how young people were feeling. And you just can't get any more authentic than that.
Absolutely.
And I think those kind of things have translated into the communication strategy, where young people have to be front and center, and as Miriam says, it's not our voice, it's their voice.
So obviously the campaign, I mean, the speed of which, you had to sort of pick things up and evolve and move, and really that sort of team spirit, we all sort of felt that and sort of wanted to support as much as possible. The response to the campaign, obviously you give some hard-hitting numbers there, but overall the sentiment of the campaign, how has that landed?
I think that we do obviously ongoing brand tracking, as you're aware. And if we call out the Youth Rising podcast that we were just talking about there, we saw, just driven by that single strand of content, we saw a plus 26% uplift in brand love, which is one of our most critical metrics, because obviously we're talking authenticity, we're talking about a brand that engages with young people, a notoriously difficult audience to engage with, and they will absolutely sniff out any lack of authenticity. So if they're shifting their and increasing their brand love for us, we know that we're doing something that's getting it right for them.
Absolutely, yeah. That's brilliant.
I think they're, like you say, their eyes were on us to see what we would do. And to your previous question about repurposing existing, or how did you adapt existing campaigns, we had to spin on a knife edge, really. Repurpose the media. Luckily, the positioning, putting young people front and center with Know We Can, still remain true, and will always be part of our DNA. We just looked through a different lens, and that was the lens of COVID and lockdown and how people were coping with it. And as Miriam says, the sentiment and the feedback, just in terms of the comments and the 1.2 million engagements that Miriam mentioned, super positive sentiment, and actually started to change perceptions of NCS as well.
It's brilliant to do it in such a crisis period as well. It's a fantastic result. Do you think that your learnings throughout this period is going to change how you approach communications in the future?
I think very definitely, Sonya. I don't think that anybody could have expected, even given the pace of change over the last several years with technology. I don't think anybody could have anticipated how dependent we were all going to become on digital and on virtual engagement, just as we are doing right now.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I think that there will be a much bigger role for digital engagement as part of what it means to become a national citizen, and rather than a total reliance on doing an NCS program that is always physical. We've proven that we can engage and we can get young people to aspire to becoming brilliant national citizens. We talk about the next greatest generation being the young people who have had their lives put on hold, and somebody described it as COVID-19 has been an asterisk on the CV of their lives. But they are really, really keen, and we've seen it demonstrated with the content channel and the launch we recently had of our 1 million hours of doing good, inviting young people to volunteer to help rebuild societies as we slowly and safely emerge from lockdown, and seeing young people signing up, registering to work in charity shops. Our My First Pint initiative in partnership with the NHS, where we've seen young people again volunteering. They can't have their first pint legally when they turn 17, but they can give their first pint of blood, and they can again contribute in that way to a better society.
Yeah, brilliant. The future is definitely bright, isn't it? So within the world that we're living in, are there any other brands or services that you sort of looked at that you think have approached COVID-19 comms particularly well?
I think everyone was in the same boat, and it was about who with speed and pace and agility could get comms out first. But I think those who maybe got their comms out first, I think most notably quite a lot of maybe the financial and the banks, and maybe even the mobile phone providers, all started to look the same. So I know it's not answering your question who brands are doing well, but I think actually those brands who probably took that a little bit more time to understand how comms were being put out there probably did better. So I'd say a lot of the financial products and a lot of the mobile phone companies, I think, just started to look the same using UGC, and there was no real differentiation apart from the badging exercise at the end. I think brands which had done really well, which also remained true to their own DNA, was someone like the Co-op. They're all about giving back to local people. It makes sense. They can feature locally, regionally, nationally, and it just further strengthens their brand. So they had a great positioning in terms of congruence there. And actually, we've taken a lot of learnings from what other brands have done. And actually, the life after lockdown piece that Miriam mentions, which is about asking teens to reimagine what life after lockdown will look like, and what are your hopes and dreams and aspirations. We've enabled us to be able to still film in a socially distanced way with real actors, with real voiceovers, and then incorporate some of the live kind of feedback and the live quotes that young people actually provided to us as part of the UGC piece of that. And that's been a really nice way to help our communications be very differentiated from the kind of other sea of UGC content that's out there.
Brilliant.
I completely agree with that, and Co-op would definitely be one that I would call out. I think a lot of the grocery chains, the food retailers have done a good job. I particularly love, just because I'm a sucker for beautiful copy and very simple stark imagery, I particularly love the Waitrose partnering with DEFRA in the Pick for Britain campaign, because I think, again, a lot of people have looked to their local communities and have depended on farm shops and things like that. So I think something like that has been brilliant. And I'm really kind of interested at the moment in where the Amex Shop Small campaign is going, because I think, again, calling on people for that community spirit, to make sure that you're shopping local, that you understand that a lot of the big brands are going to be COVID proof, like they're frequently recession proof, but it's the small local brands and retailers, etc., that are going to feel the pain. So I think there's some really interesting things happening in that space.
Well, listen, Miriam and Adam, thank you so much for your time. It is always a pleasure to speak to both of you. Thank you for your continued help and support. It's always really appreciated. And I look forward to speaking to you both soon.
Thanks, Sonya. And just say as a parting shot, it is definitely one team. It's definitely one team now, and that's really great. Tribute to you guys.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
If you are under 18, you cannot watch the following.
No, actually, we can't.
Oh no, you just can't grow up.
No, we can.
In other news, teens can't change anything. No, we can't. Our planet! Our future!
You can't get this job yet.
No. I think you finally can.
Boy, you can't stand there.
No, we can. We're just waiting for our mate Trev.
Hiking? You can't even get out of bed.
No, we can.
Skirts? They just can't.
No, we can.
You can't do this. You can't do this. You can't do this. No. You can.
You can't write a book.
No. We can.
You can't wear that.
No, we totally can. And I'm going to show you how
No. We can.
Search NCS for the summer that turns no you can't into no we can.